Perfect. Welcome everyone to the Systems Innovation Partner Network event. We're now just starting this event in order to speak about what is systems innovation working on in order to develop more partnerships. So my name is Eva Valencia, and I'm here happily as part of Systems Innovation Network as an ecosystem builder, together with Josh Colchester, that you know him well. And today, the purpose of this event is to speak about the Systems Innovation Partner Network Guide that you can find in the Miro board that just added now here into the chat. And why are we here today? Well, because we are a network of organizations. Sorry, at Systems Innovation, we are interested in creating a network of organizations collaborating to advance the adoption of systems thinking in practice. We believe that beyond one organization, we need to be a collaboration between different organizations in order to see how to develop systems thinking into practice. So the idea for today is the following agenda. First, we're going to make some icebreakers and we're going to get to know each other a bit more. Then we're going to go through the guideline that you'll find in the Miro board here. You'll find a link that you can go in and you can later on see this guide with more depth if you want to read about it more. Then we're going to have some questions and comments from the guideline after the presentation that Josh will give. And finally, we're going to give some conclusions and next steps of what you can do if you want to be involved in these partnerships. So in order to start to get to know who is here currently, we are going to ask two questions. First, what organization are you joining from? If you could please share with us. And then also, why is your organization interested in a systems innovation ecosystem? You can add a post-it in this Miro board. Does everyone have access? And thank you, Valerie, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll just take a minute, shall we? You can find stickies down here. Post up the organization you're from, or why your organization is interested in the systems innovation ecosystem, or even why it's interested in systems innovation at all. That could be interesting. Yeah. So we'll just take 1 minute to do that, and I'll share the link again in the chat to the Miro board.
If someone can't access the Miro board, you can grade it in the chat, and we can also include it as part of the Miro board. Okay, we see here some organizations that are already including some stickies, systems and complexity organization, dialectic Q, systems dynamic society. We have also professionals as a professional body of practitioners. And we have some stickies also showing the interest in systems innovation and a systems innovation ecosystem to develop system insights that are key to our work. using systems innovation to help civil society. See the systems that they are in and build the features they believe in. Create events as well. And creating more congruence across practice. How do we have a common language? Yes, I think also that's very important. Okay. We'll give a couple minutes more. And then we go to the guides. We have here in the chat as well, Citlali is telling us that she's joining from Toronto, from Hispanotech, and they're interested in learning tools and tackle immigrant unemployment through systems lens. Valerie Yeo, he comes from Singapore, from Civil Service College, and that there's a lot of information in change and we need a systems lens. So how do we build capacity in systems approaches? Juan de Dios from the Canary Islands. And yes, we can share. Okay, perfect.
Okay, let me grab the screen here again, Eva.
Okay.
Thank you for that. And yeah, let me jump in to say a few words about the network, about what we're proposing. So this is something new at SI, actually. I mean, Systems Innovation Network, just say a word about that in case you're new to it. We've existed for about 10 years. I founded it originally as an e-learning platform. So we produced a lot of video courses in the first 5 years, and the past 5 years has been building the community that you see today when you go to SI. So I'm sure you're familiar with, imagine you're familiar with, some of the learning material, but also the network, and we're almost 29,000 people at this stage. So it's been quite a journey over the past 5 years. We've built a lot of hubs, and you've probably been to events and so forth, a lot of activity in the network. We've collaborated with lots of different people and lots of different organizations, but more recently started thinking about how could we strengthen those relationships? How could we potentially kind of formalize them and build a better network for collaborating and working together for unlocking the potential of these ideas, this systems innovation, systems thinking ideas, and start putting them to better work. We've had we have Louis Klein with us today. We've had a few conversations over the past months about the past, present, and future of systems thinking, and where we're going, and kind of the challenges of unlocking the potential. And I think we all know a bit about the challenges of that, right? So this is part of our initiative to build the field of systems innovation, which is our overall purpose and mission at SI. And that takes many forms. It's on different levels. It's the individuals, it's the hubs and so forth. But it's also, we think, of value to create a system for organizations to connect and collaborate and work together within this field. So I'm going to present a bit about how we've started to go about visioning and designing that over the past couple of months, and how we're just starting at the moment. I mean, I'll just say we are just starting the past couple of weeks. We've onboarded 2 organizations. We have 2 more that we're in conversations with. So really just starting and getting going in an iterative way. But I'm going to share now with you the guide that you'll find there at the beginning of the presentation. And this will be material you can take away and look at afterwards. So as mentioned, it's a network for organizations working in and around this space of systems and systems innovation to enable a better infrastructure for collaboration on shared interests and alignment towards unlocking the potential of systems thinking for more transformative kinds of change. And it's this ecosystem concept that we need many parts working together if we're really going to do this at a broader scale, this unlocking of these ideas and applying them in practice towards more transformative kinds of change, because we do need those, and it's questionable whether we're really there yet. So it requires kind of a wide variety of actors on different levels, from the individual to the institutional level and so forth. And they need to be working together, and that's part of what this network's about. So the ecosystem concept is that, all the resources, all the people, all the organizations are out there already doing lots of things, but often in a disaligned fashion. Can we actually get better alignment, better coordination, better shared infrastructure, better shared protocols, and so forth, so that we can create something that's more directed, ultimately more impactful, and more transformative, right? So these are some of the aspects that might constitute that I think we need to align around, right? Narrative and identity and shared vision and so forth. Visibility of what's going on in this landscape, different protocols around tools and methods and so forth, spaces for collaboration amongst organizations, and for them to find those and discuss and explore spaces for potential collaborations, alignments, projects, initiatives, and so forth, but also get more systematic about the overall evaluation and framework for investing in this fields of systems innovation and change. So that's a little bit what we mean by the ecosystem concepts and what we're trying to do here. And ultimately about kind of unlocking the existing potential that's out there through alignment and coordination. And it doesn't happen overnight. An ecosystem approach is a long-term kind of infrastructure you develop to enable those kinds of changes. And there's kind of a top-down, bottom-up dynamic to this, and it needs to work on both levels for the individual members, the individual organizations, but also thinking about the broader kind of influence this is going to have in the world. And we laid out on this graphic, like some of the reasons why organizations want to be part of this. The value proposition, should we say, and at the top is, the bigger value proposition of what we can create in the world, maybe more altruistic, you might say, and on the bottom is a bit more what's in it for me as an organization. And yeah, it really has to work on both levels, or else it's not going to work at all. So if we go up at the top, the bigger vision is about enabling kind of macro change or building capacity across, a larger network. So we add up to something more than the sum of the parts. It's really about advancing the field of systems change. And if we go down then on the left or the right, we'll see it'll be different opportunities for organizations who are part of this to co-create, to collaborate, launch shared initiatives where they see opportunities. Hopefully develop an infrastructure for investment. So there'll be that side of it for organizations that actually want to invest in these fields, access and exchanging of services for the organizations in it, something of a two-sided market to some extent. Aligning around communications and maybe identity or branding or campaigns and communications, general awareness for the organizations in this space, but also the space as a whole, access and development of shared content, opportunities for shared learning and alignment around methods and tools. So those are some of the reasons organizations want to be part of it. We've had a few conversations already with different organizations, and we're starting to see what they're really interested in and the overlaps and so forth. And a lot of it's going to emerge out of that. We'll start with maybe 10 organizations, and we'll have those onboarding kind of conversations with them and see what are they really interested in, where's the real opportunity here, and kind of go with that. So that was the first quick bit. Obviously, there's many different types of organizations here. Systems thing is very cross-cutting, right? It's everywhere in academia and public sector. We need all these working together, right? It's the ecosystem concept, all the way from design to consultancies to social sector and social enterprises to communities, innovation agencies and so forth. So it is for all types of organizations for sure. We may try to, get the right balance. So it may be a bit selective there at the beginning, but it's certainly for all kinds of organizations. That's a little bit the onboarding process. I might come back to that afterwards and stay going for the moment. I should have kind of centered this in the center here, where we have four main dimensions. The top left is the whole narrative around what this is. And now I'll get into the actors, like about the organizations and how they get involved, but then the activities down the bottom right, like what are we actually going to do? What are the programs here? And on the bottom left about growth, how we're going to develop and grow this over time. So we're collecting questions, aren't we, Eva, somewhere? What's the plan there? Do you want to share it?
Yes. So if you have any questions, please share it in the chat, or you can also add it as a post-it in the Miro board here below.
Yes, we're going to have plenty, should have plenty of time. I'm going to present maybe for another 10, 15 minutes, and then lots of time to discuss with you people. And of course, if you are interested and you want to submit, we'd have follow-up kind of meetings to really go into that, but let me stay going. So yeah, if you drop it in the chat, we can always put it as a sticky on the board, or you can put in a sticky there. So going to the actors, this is really about the organizations and how they get involved, how we structure that. And this will evolve over time, but initial kind of thinking around the design here is there may be three levels. One is the core, who are the people or the organizations most invested in this, and are kind of leading it and guiding it. And that's one category. There'll probably be quite few organizations there. For example, SI is playing that role at the moment. We're investing time and energy and so forth in setting this up and coordinating and so forth. Hopefully over time, there's other organizations that want to be part of that committee, should we say, that's kind of leading this, and they'll be part of the governance and maybe investing in other ways in terms of helping this move forwards. For the moment, there'll probably be most organizations will probably either be partners or collaborators. So partners are the majority of organizations here who want to be involved on an ongoing basis in different activities and events that come along and are of relevance to them. Collaborators are more on the sidelines, and they aren't necessarily part of the ecosystem, but they're interested in potentially being involved in different activities or collaborating, as the name implies. So they're kind of on the sidelines. And that's just structuring the different levels of engagement and investment in the network. And that's that. I'll stay going. All of this, of course, is laid out in the guide, so I'm not going to go into all of it. Let me see down here. So yeah, that's all about those. We would kind of, structure the different types of organizations, try to figure out, which ones do we have? Do we have academia or social sector and private sector and so forth, just to kind of clarify that and get the right balance, as I was mentioning before. Maybe I'll stay going in terms of talking about activities, different types of organizations, whether you're kind of core, partner, or collaborator, might be involved in different events. The core would be, advising and part of focus sessions to kind of, and maybe governance stuff to lead this forwards. For the moment, we're kind of playing that function at SI. So most of the events organized around this section here, which is, maybe I got a better graphic. Here it is. Yeah, this is normally what we look at when we do the conversations and onboarding with the organizations. We say there's kind of four main areas we're going to be exploring here as we go along. Awareness is where we're talking about shared communications, potentially, shared co-branding on things, or it could be developing shared identity. But I'd say mainly around, shared campaigns, shared communications, potentially share events. We're co-hosting events to raise awareness around the different organizations. That's the first section. It's a lot to do with communications and events. Second section is around learning, but particularly here we think like shared methodologies and tools and protocols, potentially developing shared trainings, but also potentially co-learning sessions amongst this group. But we see already quite a bit of interest in how do we align our methodologies. These different organizations have different tools and methods, the ones we've been talking to already, and they're interested in, that could start, for example, a number of organizations want to start a sessions, which is kind of a show and tell, like how do we do things in our organizations? How do we approach systems innovation, our tools and methods? What does that look like for you? Let's have a conversation about that to get that initial interaction. But over time, that can lead to development of shared toolkits and methods and maybe open source kind of frameworks and so forth. And again, that's kind of about alignment. Bottom right is talking about collaboration. So it's really getting together and exploring opportunities and ways to work together or align different opportunity spaces, and then maybe going off and doing something together in whichever way. But on the end here, on the bottom left, we're talking about co-creating, which could be launching shared initiatives, labs, projects, incubating new ventures and so forth. Under the collaborate, we might also put in, coming together for shared business opportunities, maybe calls for, Erasmus Plus or Horizons programs or whatever it is, forming consortiums, things like this. Yeah. So that kind of gets to the core of like what we're thinking in terms of the programs and activities. It's broken out in more kind of detail and depth in the guide there. Not going to go into it right now. Welcome you to take a look at that. I will say under the create, there'd also be opportunities to transact services within the network. Would have organizations who are interested in different services, like needing someone to do systems mapping or facilitation or consulting or whatever it is, and have others kind of coming in with that capacity and enabling those connections within the network also. So there we have it. That's talking about the events. You can look more down here to, more specifically about those. And I'm going to stay going. Growing is a question of how are we going to develop and grow this over time? And that's certainly an initiative, agile, adaptive approach, right? It's going to take time to really build a fully functioning ecosystem. We're fortunate that we have a lot of connections already. We have a lot of informal kind of relationships with different organizations. We want to kind of build upon those. But yeah, this spiral approach, right? Maybe just get 10 organizations at the beginning and start to see those overlaps, start to explore those, run some activities, events, see where the potential is, and build upon that over time. I think there's a lot of learning that needs to take place here. We have learned a lot from the development of the hub, development of the community the past 5 years, and really bringing in a lot of that learning is of huge value, but it's a slightly different context in terms of the organizations and how institutions work and so forth, that we need to also learn about that and how they work together and what's the things they're really interested in, where's really the potential here. Often you have an idea of where you think it may be, but you've got to kind of bring them together and see what's possible before you can really that emerges. So it's an initiative approach there. But yeah, really trying to build an ecosystem ultimately, get that connectivity, get that trust, get those channels of communications and networks and so forth, so we can really do something great. Definitely not going to happen overnight, but ultimately that's the vision of a really robust ecosystem that's able to do great things. We will need a framework for evaluation of what direction are we going in? Is this of any use? And an investment framework also do intend to have the launch of ventures and so forth, shared initiatives, launching those within the ecosystem between the partners, and also try and find the right people who want to be part of that journey in terms of investing and so forth. And assessment is an important part of that. So that's that. Yeah, so out here is a little bit about us, the platform, SI, and how we're going to support that. We will, as we do already, provide a set of services and function as a platform to the SI community and to the hubs, to the members, essentially providing similar sorts of services, but now for this partner network. So we'll be doing things, the coordination, the communications like we're doing right now, running the programs, designing and developing the overall ecosystem and so forth, and initially doing the governance, but that may be more decentralized if we have more organizations involved in the core there, as mentioned, as we go along. And that's that. Yeah, the governance is very basic at the moment. I mean, we're managing it in the SI core team. Over time, we may try to decentralize that and set up a better charter for it and so forth. But really want to test and explore things first and see where that leads. So I think that's most of what I wanted to talk about. And then definitely happy to have conversations with you people about any questions you might have.
So we have already 3 questions. The first one is related to which topics are we going to work on? The question was, how are you applying systems thinking analysis methods in which fields, with which goals? So in here I included the hubs because they are already some of the fields that we're working and places, but which goals also? Just I don't know if you want to also add something here.
So do you want to speak this one out? Whoever posted, just to understand what you mean by goals. Do you mean like challenges and challenge areas and themes?
It was Juan de Dios. Do you want to say it out loud?
Which purpose you are applying the system thinking analysis? Because we are applying these kind of tools to the social sustainability, social conflicts. And also we want to apply it to the regenerative agriculture. Not only the biological side, also the social side of the primary sector.
Yeah. So systems innovation is very cross-cutting. We explore, pretty much every system out there that's relevant, including all these ones, is how we categorize the themes. And then, of course, the challenges to some extent fit within those. So we will be exploring social challenges and environmental ones and health and governance and all these different areas. It depends on what people are interested in, essentially, yeah. And where the opportunity is, where other people are interested in it too. So hopefully that answers your question.
I can share the URL of the partner of us, in Comando Creativo, that is applying system thinking in the social sustainability. If you want, I can share on the board.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Juan de Dios. We also have 2 other questions. So one is there a criterion for organizations? Are we looking for particular types of organizations?
So Sahate, you mentioned this one. Well, we do have certain basic requirements for being involved around. I'm not sure if we have them listed up here. Let me just see. Maybe not. No. So one of the most basic ones is that an organization is an organization. It's more than one person. So we have had a few organizations. There are organizations that's one person. So you need to be more than one person. At least you need to have some capacity to be able to work on things and so forth. Are we looking for specific types of organizations? Well, we may do over time, depending on the constitution of the other organizations that are in this basket. For example, at the moment, the ones we're talking to are 2 universities, and the 2 others are systems change, systems mapping, kind of facilitation organizations. So they're kind of delivery or capacity organizations. And it'd be good to have other ones like in finance or potentially public sector or different areas. So it will kind of evolve as that mix evolves. Maybe no more universities at the moment, and maybe some other types. But yes, it will depend on the other ones we have in the basket, and we haven't kind of got a full view on that. Yeah.
Also, Anthony Corici also had a couple of comments. Anton, do you want to also speak them out loud? You're muted.
Thanks. So the first one was the idea that actually we perhaps should make sure that we've pulled in all the professional bodies, because obviously we've got IFSR here, but we've got so many professional bodies operating globally, and everyone seems to operate in some cases we have lots of domains, but not necessarily good linkages across the domains. And so one of the things I think that happens is that there's a very strong force to just keep things as they are. So if you look at, the way that education and economics and international development works, there are very, very strong forces that say, oh, don't pick up the systems thinking stuff because it's not how we've done things over the last 20, 30, 40 years. And it's about time that was challenged. And the other point I was going to make was a goal, which is a deliberate supplanting of reductionist practices by the kind of things that we're hoping the world might be able to take on board to make things better. Because at the moment, the reductionist practices are not really working for the world. They're working for a few people in the world, but not for the world in general. They're making life pretty miserable for quite a large percentage. So how can we supplant those reductionist practices at the same time? And we are going to need to stay strong and together if we're going to try and do that, because there'll be plenty of opposition to that.
Certainly. I mean, that's what it's all about, Anthony. And obviously a long-term journey, right, isn't it? Reductionism has been a dominant paradigm for many centuries, really, or at least decades.
Since the Enlightenment, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's taken time to expand all the way around the world, right? For us here in Europe, maybe, but other parts too. But yes, that's the idea, right? No one organization is going to do that. It's going to take a lot, kind of unlocking these new ideas, raising awareness, learning all this stuff, applying them. So that's what we're here for, really, right? That's the journey we're on. Your first point. Yeah, there's a lot of organizations in this space we've talked to. I mean, this was initiated by Gary from the ISSS, and you just saw we had Louis from IFSR, and talking to some, I mean, we know all these organizations. So yes, we will reach out to them and talk to them and try to have them on board. Do need to be careful at the beginning to get those organizations that are really willing. And then I think that goes back to what Zahid was asking about criteria for organizations. You need to get the most willing people, I guess, at the beginning to make things easiest for yourself instead of the most difficult ones. So that will evolve over time, and we'll reach out to more organizations. I will say, I guess we're more focused in the systems innovation, systems change space, rather than necessarily the system theory and systems thinking, though all of that's part of the same landscape. So want to kind of help create the space for everyone there. But it may start out a bit more in the systems change space. But I totally agree. We ultimately need to connect across academia and all these different areas, the ideas and the application.
And I think the other point I made, I think Ava just posted it next to it, is this idea of, as much as possible, a network of peers. So things being open and non-judgmental, rather than people coming in through the front door going, my method's better than your method. That really doesn't help us as a community. It just results in the same arguments that started with the Macy conferences. And to some extent, the reputation of systems practice, whether it's systems thinking, systems innovation, or anything else, has been tainted by that for a long time.
Yep, trying not to have an ecosystem, but have an ecosystem. I think is what you're saying. Yes, all good points. I mean, yeah, we've been doing this stuff for a while, so I know a bit about that. But it's a good reminder, particularly in the context of organizations. Takes different forms, doesn't it, for individuals and for organizations? So, great point. Maybe we stay going. Yeah.
And I think this one is also related, this comment is also related. How do we build the core partners, and also how do we create other partners that support, and in these different levels that you were saying, Joss, because there's another comment that says, when you have the core partners, what will be most helpful for other smaller organizations to provide? So how are the core organizations deciding what the vision is, and then other supporting organizations can join as part of these ecosystem? So that was a comment from Trajectory. I don't know if the person speaking this comment also wants to add another
yeah.
thing to this.
Sure, it's Jeanette from Toronto. I just wondered if I assume you need some good mix of the core partners, but for smaller organizations, are there things that we can support with now that would be helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, it is, about creating the right space for everyone, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, being involved in the things that are relevant for you, the particular activities, and in the particular way that, you have capacity and so forth. So, doesn't have to start with the core organizations. We may move to that over time. So I feel there's a place for everyone, Jeanette. It's really a question of understanding, the organization and its needs and where the potential is. So, I mean, I'm not sure if you maybe missed that back up here in terms of how we're structuring that with, yeah, I guess you saw it, but you saw this one for the collaborators there, right? That could be smaller organizations that are involved in specific activities at specific times. Yeah. So that's part of the challenge, with an ecosystem, finding the right way to involve the right actors, whether they're across different domains or different sizes or all different aspects of that. And our capacity to do that will evolve over time, right? In terms of as we talk to them and understand their real needs. But hopefully that answers your question a bit.
Do you want us to suggest any activities that might be relevant? You can just put them in the hopper.
Yeah, I mean, what happens is when the organization reaches out, we have a meeting with them to understand their interests and needs and so forth, and that's normally where we kind of develop that from. But you're welcome to put it on the mirror board here if you have, ideas at this time. I mean, I welcome it to other people also to drop in. If you have ideas, as you say, Jeanette, about particular activities you'd like to be involved in, love to hear those, or reach out and we have a meeting and we hear from you then.
And here also there is a link where you can register more information. I'll share it also in the chat so that everyone has it there.
Maybe you want to just show them the website, Eva, just so they know what that looks like there and how they can submit quickly. Yeah, you could grab the screen.
We can do that.
You can grab the screen.
Okay. So. So the link that we are going to share here is in order to register that you're interested also in being a partner. In the website, you will find the starter guide, again, the PDF, and then you will have a button to register more information on what you would be interested in. Okay, I cannot do this here. But the idea is that you include there also your ideas, include your name, and after this event, that you can also give us more comments on how you're thinking also to build this ecosystem together.
Okay. Sorry, little internet connection problems there, but all good, Eva?
Can you listen to me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, I had little internet problems. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Should we go back? I'll go back to the board. Yeah, maybe we'll stay picking up on questions.
See.
How as a non-for-profit be involved? Yeah, we're welcoming all organizations. It's really about having that conversation with you submitting, understanding your organizations and your interests, and having that conversation to see where the overlap is and whether it makes sense. But not NGOs, all types of organizations, welcome. What type of capacity would be most helpful right now? Yeah, good question. Interested in exploring the investment and finance side of it, because that's actually not a capacity we really have at SI developed in terms of how do we build out a framework for evaluation for investing in the field of systems innovation. It'd be very interesting to have a partner who wanted to kind of explore that side of things with us a bit. Let me just see, going back here. I mean, also challenge holders can be an interesting one. Going back to NGOs there, they could be good kind of challenge holders for us to bring together different actors around a particular challenge. I think that's an interesting one also. I mean, public sector too would be interesting to kind of explore what we could do there. I think those ones particularly. Say social sector who might have challenges, non-for-profits and so forth might have challenges, public sector who might be able to do something interesting with government, or finance who might like to experiment with new ways of doing investment and working with us on that side of things.
Sorry, just to expand on that, in terms of capacities, I was kind of the way you've described it is kind of capacities in terms of different types of sectors. But what about capacities in terms of, I don't know, financial, like the obvious ones, financial capacities, resources, human capacities, or time, time or motivation, or what other capacities do you think are most helpful for you right now?
Well, I think the ones
to help you grow this, this.
The ones you list there, I mean, organizations that do want to kind of invest in this and the activities and really wanting to do stuff together, and who have time and energy and potentially resources to invest in that, right? So I think it's kind of all of the above, the head. Yeah.
Cool.
Public Service Transformation Academy. Yep, I know of these. Okay, well, we have more.
I don't think we have more questions currently. Interested in embedding systems innovation into design education. Janet.
Okay, yeah.
She shared with us.
Reach out afterwards, Jeanette. I'd love to learn about that. This one here, who's anybody else want to unmute and speak out their questions?
Thank you, Sahel, also for sharing about reimagined futures. So there are some proposals of organizations then. That's what I see.
Paz was who was on she did a presentation last week.
Yeah, so they joined, actually. They're the first organization to join the network as the head.
Ah, cool. Good.
I know Viliana quite well. Yeah. Okay. Anthony, did you have one, perhaps a goal of mine? Okay, you already mentioned that one. Yep. Okay.
I had one to add, which was I put in the questions just about what language we're going to operate in, because I'm conscious there is quite an interesting network in Latin America called Elaptis, and I think it's mostly Spanish speaking. So are we mostly going to do English? I'm conscious also there's a lot of practitioners in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, because SIO links to those and has a network already in there. But is it English language, or is it actually providing space for people in multiple languages to collaborate?
Yeah, probably English for this network. I mean, we have different hubs, as you can see in the graphic there, in different locations speaking different languages. I mean, Spanish is the second main language in the network, but it's normally those spaces are hosted by those hubs in that location. So probably for this one, might be English. Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether the partnership could extend into other languages, like, for example, with Elaptis, because they are so prevalent out there.
Potentially, yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Anthony, do you want to share the name of the LATAM group you're mentioning in the chat?
I'm just going to post their web link. Pensamiento sistémico en la educación superior. It's really good. Interesting organization.
Thank you for sharing.
Any other questions about, the network and how it works, or do we all feel we have a basic understanding? I mean, it is a very light model because that's the best way to approach it, not over plan it, but kind of get a bit of a sense-making framework so that we have an idea of what we're talking about, and then jump into having those conversations and bring people together and see kind of what comes out of that, and obviously iterate on it in terms of the structure that you develop over time. It's quite light at this stage. Really just creating a bit of a narrative, what this is about, the actors and how they can be involved, the activities we might be doing, and how we're thinking about developing this over time. And that's probably enough to get us going. As mentioned, we've had a few conversations already, and it's making sense to people. And as mentioned, about 3 or 4 organizations at the moment. We'll collect a few more and then really start exploring where those intersections are.
Yeah, as you can see also the process here of the next steps.
Thank you, Bruce, for your support. Okay.
I think, is there any other question about either the part of activities or types of partners or growth even? I think there hasn't been any question on the development and potential growth.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
an open question about how it develops and grows. Yeah, so I'm just going to share in terms of if you were interested in getting involved. We'll record this session and post it into the network also, but you really simple way, you express your interest on the website, a few questions there, and then if you click on that button, then a few questions, submit that, and we'd organize a meeting with you to see where the opportunity is, whether it makes sense, and so forth. Do an introduction meeting, and then we do a little MOU to kind of get that alignment, and then we have you join on the website where the representatives of the different organizations are in a space there on the website, and then we work on putting together those activities where we see the opportunity is and inviting people there. I mean, one thing I didn't mention is that some of these events will be closed and some of them will be open, in the sense that some events would make just sense for the organizations in the network to be part of. So it might be quite small, just 5 or 10 people or so. Others would be more open or semi-open. Some would be open to the overall community to be part of. So that's how we're thinking about that. It really depends on the context and what's kind of right for that type of activity. Okay, if there's no more questions, okay. Sitlali, thank you. I'll review the guide and sign up. Our nonprofit, great. Thank you for the orientation. Okay. All right. Anything else? Any final questions, or should we move towards a close? You can always send me or Eva a message on the website. You can also post in the help section of the website if you have any questions also. Okay, Eva, do you want to draw to a close?
Well, thank you very much for all your questions and also suggestions, and for us to think more of these topics such as English and Spanish and the different types of roles of this ecosystem. And now we would like also to hear feedback from you. So how would you rate the overall experience in this session? Do you have any other remaining questions about the partnerships or comments that you would like to give us? In order to have this feedback, if you could grab one of the points and then put it in the line, whether it was a very useful or not useful session for you. We would appreciate it.
Mirror link, Eva, maybe I'll share that for Bruce.
Mhm.
There you go, Bruce, you can drop in there on the board. Was the final question, Juan de Dios? Did you want to ask about economic requirements?
Yes, I'm trying to know a part of the specific requirements as an organization, which is we need to expend money to belong to.
Yeah, no, there's no costs associated with joining the network, Juan Diaz. This is open for organizations to work together. So no cost at this time.
Thank you very much. Good news for all of us.
Great. Alrighty, so we wrap up there, Eva?
Yes. Okay, well, thank you very much for putting the feedback. And we would like to thank everyone for also participating in this session, for asking us these questions, but also to be interested in systems innovation. We believe indeed that it's needed not only one organization,